spare me those crocodile tears and that pearl clutching that President Biden pardoned his son Hunter. This happens at the same time that we learn that Donald Trump wants to make Kash Patel his FBI director, someone who literally wants to tear the FBI to the ground. So while Donald Trump made his first term administration quite literally a criminal enterprise, and he is doing the same before our very eyes, whereas Donald Trump previously pardoned his daughter's father-in-law who engaged in surreptitious video recording of his own brother-in-law cheating on his sister with a prostitute that he set up, and then gave the video to his sister, pardoned the guy, and made him the ambassador of France. While all of this is going on, you want to attack President Biden for giving Hunter a pardon where Hunter was charged with checking a box on a gun form that he was not under the influence of drugs or alcohol in 2018, because subsequently Hunter wrote an autobiography where he talked about being on drugs when he bought the gun. You're using the guy's own autobiography about redemption and about healing from addiction to criminally prosecute him, something that's never been done before. Oh, and paying his taxes late was the other felony criminal charge. So President Biden pardons Hunter for that. And now I'm hearing all these hot takes out there, and not just from the usual suspects on Fox, but on others who are saying, well, I guess now Donald Trump can do whatever he wants. Great work, President Biden. You're letting Donald Trump do anything he wants. Donald Trump was doing it already. So stop with the normalization. Stop with the both sides. Get tough and start pushing back. It's quite literally the reason why Democrats keep on losing. And if you haven't told already, it is pissing me off. I want to talk about that. I also want to talk about some glimmer of hope for democracy taking place in Georgia, not the state of Georgia, the country of Georgia, especially in their capital city of Tbilisi, where a pro-democracy movement right there is challenging the Putin-backed governing party right there. You see these scenes right there. I've described it as potentially foreshadowing what Washington, D.C. is going to be looking like pretty soon if Donald Trump keeps up trying to destroy our democracy, because we're not going to just sit back and take it. The people of the United States of America will be there on the front lines with you, are going to push back. Oh, did I mention that the new Navy secretary who Donald Trump appointed is someone who's never been in the Navy before, no military experience, just a hedge fund guy who's now leading the Navy? I'm supposed to just normalize that and not report on that? Or how about the defense secretary picked by Donald Trump, in addition to his mommy sending him a letter back in 2018 calling him an abuser of women who needs help? We're now learning that the only thing that he actually led relating to the military, because he never led an actual military company before, but a veterans group basically pushed him out because they alleged that he was like drunk all the time and sexually harassing women all the time and strippers and more NDAs. And that's what he did when he led a veterans organization. He denies the allegation, but people at the veterans groups, two of them, not just one, two of them, say that's what's going down. And then you got to remember, his mom sends him an email at the same time calling him an abuser of women. We got a lot to talk about, folks, on the show. I'm fired up. Brett and Jordy, how are you doing?
We do indeed. I'm doing well. I feel relaxed after the holiday weekend, at least until the news cycle today and some of the takes that I've been seeing. But I hope everybody did enjoy their holiday. I hope you were able to spend it with the ones you love, whether that's friends or family or your chosen family, whoever it may be. I hope you were able to get out there, maybe take a break from the media for a little bit, a break from politics for a little bit, and really dig into the things that are important in your life. I know we had a very nice time. It was great hanging out with family and great reflecting on the past year. And of course, then we wake up today and see this just shitstorm, for lack of a better word, from the corporate media. And, you said not, all the usual, just the usual suspects on the Trump side of things, but many of the usual suspects who are apparently on the pro-democracy side of things. It just seems like, For so long, people say it's time for Democrats to fight fire with fire. Why are we playing nice? It's time to step up and do something. And then the second President Biden says, okay, bet, let's do something. I'm going to do something. I'm going to counter this extremist administration that's coming in, that's been threatening my son, that's been threatening the safety of the media, that's been threatening us all. I'm going to do something about it. The second he does that, oh my God, let me clutch my pearls. I cannot believe that he would do such a thing. I thought Democrats were the party of decency. I thought this was a morality. What happened to the pure party? Who said that, by the way? Who's made this? Who has said this other than people in bad faith trying to argue against things like this? I, for one, am happy with President Biden's decision. That's my personal that's my personal opinion. We're going to dig into all the news of the day, but first I got to check in with little bro Jordy. What's up, Jordy?
What's up, brothers? What's up, Midas Mighty? I'm doing great. I'm fired up. Let's just get into it. Benji, where do we want to start?
Brett, you mentioned people gathered around the Thanksgiving table last week, friends and family all together. Notice a lot of the attacks from the right wing and their top influencers, people like Cat Turd, who actually is a top Republican account and influencer right now. I mean, they mocked Hunter Biden for drug addiction. They mocked him for being naked, for having consensual sex, and they would show his nudes. And, for me, the moment that actually made me support President Biden back in the 2020 campaign? It's when I heard the voicemail that MAGAs used to attack President Biden to say, look, Hunter Biden's addiction is a real thing. And the audio recording was President Biden, then previous vice president, running for office. But the audio recording happened at a time when President Biden was not running for office. This wasn't a political move. When Hunter Biden was suffering from addiction, it happened after his brother Beau had died tragically of cancer, being exposed to toxic burn pits for actually serving our country with dignity and bravery. But Hunter Biden suffered from addiction, and President Biden called him up when Hunter Biden was at his lowest, when Hunter Biden was doing things that anybody would regret. Self-destructive behavior of the worst kind, embarrassing to President Biden, who was then in between jobs and just finished being the vice president. And President Biden said, son, I love you. I'm here for you. I will never let you down. I will never let you be on the streets alone. You always have a home with me. You always have a father. I love you. When I heard that, I said, bet this is a good man. This is a decent man. And we all know people, friends, family, coworkers, many who may be sitting around the Thanksgiving table who have been in recovery. If they're lucky, we probably know people who have lost their lives to addiction. And for MAGA Republicans, always punching down, trying to make Hunter relapse as a way to attack President Biden, to go after his son after his other son died. To me, it was always the height of evil. And I was always looking to, why are Democrats buying into this narrative as well of Hunter being this horrifically horrible person? Hunter screwed up. Hunter's admitted that he committed crimes, by the way, that no one else has ever been prosecuted for, and crimes that MAGA otherwise think don't exist. Could you imagine if people were actually charged with being under the influence of drugs or alcohol at or around the time they purchase a firearm? How many people would be prosecuted for felonies, right? That's what Hunter Biden was prosecuted for. The other thing was paying his taxes late, which would otherwise be a civil penalty. So yes, President Biden did before say that he would not pardon Hunter, but also that predates Donald Trump literally picking people like Kash Patel, who are on record saying that they will do the most heinous and horrific things to Hunter Biden. Frankly, I think if Donald Trump picked a Bill Barr type person, who, by the way, horrific, or horrific picks of that ilk, but who weren't literally Kash Patel, people who launder in the worst and most dangerous conspiracies. Kash Patel, someone who has said he will literally go after any media who says negative things and use the full force of the FBI to attack people. He's been on the record of saying, I'm going after Hunter. What do you expect Joe Biden to do when Donald Trump makes that move? I think President Biden gave Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt. And you want to get angry at President Biden for doing something? Maybe it's giving him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's inviting Trump to the White House, shaking his hand, smiling, maybe, and trying to act like this is a normal transition. Maybe you say, well, why did you do that? You want to make some blame. Maybe you say, well, why in the first place did you even say you weren't going to pardon? Why you didn't even have to go and say that with all of the lawlessness? You want to have a fair argument with me? You can maybe talk to me about those things. But after Donald Trump picks Kash Patel as his FBI director, again, as I said at the outset, I don't want to hear the pearl clutching. I don't want to hear the crocodile tears and the, oh my God, how can this be done? Donald Trump is running a criminal enterprise during this transition, and President Biden needs to fight back. He really does. He needs to protect his family, and he needs to protect this country, which he's trying to do during these very difficult time periods during this transition. It happens at the same time, Brett and Jordy and Midas Mighty, that we learn over the weekend that the new ambassador to France is going to be Jared Kushner's daddy. Yes, Jared Kushner's daddy, someone who Donald Trump pardoned in 2020 for engaging or gave clemency to in 2020, someone who previously engaged in election legal violations or election law violations, and then attacked the key witness to the prosecutor, who happened to be Chris Christie, the Republican United States attorney from New Jersey during that period. So the key witness was Kushner's dad's brother-in-law, so his sister's husband. So Kushner's dad hired a prostitute to go have sex with his sister's husband, and then took the tape and showed it to his sister because his brother-in-law was going to testify against him, and that was added as an additional charge. Now the ambassador to France. And then you see people like Dinesh D'Souza, all these MAGA Republicans out there saying, told you he was going to pardon Hunter. Dinesh D'Souza was pardoned by Donald Trump. You want to look at this Donald Trump pardon list of people that Donald Trump actually pardoned? It's like the worst of the worst people in the world, including Donald Trump's own criminal co-conspirators. Right. But you don't have a peep. Why? Because that's Trumpy and Trump. It's Trumpy and Trump. Biden has to have absolute perfection. Trump can just be completely lawless and criminal. And then again, we hear the same voices. And it's kind of obvious when you hear these same voices over and over again, like where the losing is actually coming from. And it's just beyond frustrating at this point.
Yeah. And like you just, how do I say this delicately? I'm getting a little bit of PTSD from the endless news cycles throughout the election against President Biden, where it was day in and day out, the mainstream media and certain pundits going on TV and saying horrible things about President Biden, destroying his approval ratings, destroying his poll numbers, and then using that as an example of why Biden should get out. And I'm getting that sort of same energy from them now. And Ben, just like you said, they don't reserve that same energy. They don't hold that same space, as the kids are saying right now, Jordy. They don't hold that space for Donald Trump's activities. They just brush it off as that is just Trump being Trump. We expect him to put these kooky, deranged maniacs to lead the FBI. We expect him to put unqualified people in all these positions to reward his cronies who he pardoned with positions in his administration. We expect that from him. But Joe Biden, how could you stoop to this level? How could you do such a thing? And we just hear this day in and day out. And I'm sorry, or not sorry, honestly, but I do not think that President Biden has to sacrifice his son's freedom in order to satisfy your hot takes. I don't think he needs to sacrifice his family and the last few years that he will have on this planet with his son in order to appease your hot take that you want to get on MSNBC with, or CNN with, on Fox News with. I'm sorry. And especially I say that in the light of the fact that this incoming Department of Justice, and I think Harry Littman, I read a great piece on Harry Littman's Substack today, which I recommend you read. Harry Littman, a former prosecutor at the Department of Justice, laid out the case, addressed basically all of the arguments against the pardon, and said why he believes that the pardon is legitimate and in the reign of where pardons are supposed to actually take place here. And so what Harry basically said is that this is completely a warranted thing because you have to look at who this Justice Department is that is coming in. And to Ben's point, this is not a Bill Barr Justice Department, which is still an extremist Justice Department that I am not defending whatsoever. But this is even so far beyond that, where you have a guy like Kash Patel who will be running the FBI. You have people coming into positions of power who have literal enemy lists, with people in the government on about who they want to prosecute, who they want to lock up, who they want to take down. This is not an American thing that is happening right now. This is not a normal system of justice. And then we have people like Kash Patel who have openly over the past few years over and over and over and over again stated on these various right-wing programs that they do not care about what Hunter Biden has been charged with. They do not care about the activities of the media or whatever, but they are going to come after them with new charges. They are going to make their lives hell. This is something that Kash Patel has said on numerous occasions while he thinks he is just on these right-wing MAGA podcasts that nobody's listening to. But you know who is listening to and watching these MAGA podcasts and is keeping note of every single word? MeidasTouch editor-in-chief Ron Filipkowski, who does this all day and night. So it was really no surprise to me that Ron Filipkowski, who also is a former Republican, had high positions in the Republican Party as a federal prosecutor, a state prosecutor. Ron Filipkowski reached the same conclusion as us independently because he has been monitoring these people day in, day out, and he knows their plans for Hunter Biden. He knows their plans to torture Joe Biden. He knows their plans to come after the media. And if you know these people, you know that they are not messing around when they make these threats. These are not empty threats. So if you're just dipping your toes into this crazy right-wing MAGA ecosystem and you think, oh, they're just being bombastic and they're just saying things and I didn't hear them say that, I only heard them say X, Y, and Z. Let's listen to the people who have been researching and speaking about this sort of stuff day in and day out, because the threats that they are making right now are serious threats. Those are an affront to justice. Those are threats that people need to take seriously. And I think President Biden is taking those threats seriously when you have a Kash Patel openly saying that he plans on making his life hell, that he plans on locking up Hunter Biden for new crimes. When you hear that sort of stuff, you need to take it seriously and you have to act. And I think the final straw, quite frankly, was probably when Kash Patel, this maniac, this unhinged, the Trumpiest of the Trump, not only a loyalist, but a conspiracy theorist, really everything that is wrong with this MAGA movement and their view of how our system should operate. When you have him being announced to be the FBI director, to me, that is red alert. That is red alert. And everything that you even said before, to me, doesn't even matter. It doesn't apply. The entire game has changed when that comes to be a reality, and you better react. And quite frankly, the media should understand this as well. The corporate media should understand this, that Kash Patel wants to come after you. Kash Patel wants to come after us. We are very aware of that over here. We don't have to have broadcast licenses, but there are certainly other ways he could come after us. But Kash Patel wants to come after you. And the sooner you realize that these people are serious when they make their threats, the better it will be for our democracy. You better act like it, and you better realize what we're up against, folks. Jordy.
Perfectly said, Brett. And let me just add to this, the purity test of, but Biden lied, and like just the fake sort of outrage about that one. I don't even believe that he lied. What clearly had transpired here, Brett, is exactly how you laid that out. He's dealing with a new, subset of facts that was different from when he made that original announcement. Now, did he have to make that announcement? Probably not back then. But we're dealing in today's world. And in today's world, that's a Kash Patel FBI director role. And that's a scary situation for a Biden to be in. And so what he did, if you want to look at this and say it's political, what was political? It was them going after Hunter the way they were after Hunter. If his name was Brad Smith, Brett and Ben, you can't tell me that this would have gone so far as to where this all is now. They're going after Hunter because he's a Biden, and that's all. So what President Biden did, I commend him. And the fake outrage just has to stop. And your purity test, especially when you've joined this party late, and now you're going to come in and be condescending to the folks that have been here doing the work as if you're right. And no matter what, you're not going to listen to anybody else. And what you're saying, that's the word, that's the law. Shut up. Shut up, man, because we don't want to hear it. That's not how we act here. We listen here. We gather information. We deal by data and facts, and we move forward that way. Benji.
Here's the thing. All these people want to whoop Trump's ass, right? Whoop his ass. Let's go after Trump. Who's the person who whooped Donald Trump's ass? Joe Biden. Okay. So much so that in 2024, and probably until Donald Trump's last days, he's going to still be whining about the 2020 election, right? He still whines about the thing. President Biden whooped him, right? It was a victory for the popular vote by like 7 million plus, crushed Donald Trump in the Electoral College. And then President Biden proceeded to enact the most pro-worker, progressive agenda, pro-health. You want to start make America healthy again. It's a guy who's reducing the cost of health care, expanding the Affordable Care Act, allowing Medicare to negotiate to bring down drug prices. I mean, you've got the most pro-health, progressive person, Infrastructure Act, PACT Act, Inflation Reduction Act. I mean, surgically going in and doing all pro-union, all of the things you wanted the guy to do. Biden did. And yet that was never enough. And you have to understand why Biden's frustrated about it. It was never enough. Biden identified the need. But given Biden's age, I think he has not been able to communicate it. He needed some help communicating. He needed people to rally behind these ideas. But he identified the issue that workers are being screwed by an oligarchy. And that's why Biden kept on saying bottom up, middle out. And there was once a time where Biden's statesmanship-like approach, as I've said, the Teddy Roosevelt theory of speak soft or walk soft and carry a big stick. You can be quiet. You don't have to be obnoxious and loud. To me, that's always better than walking loud and obnoxious and waving your hands and then having a little teeny tiny stick like Donald Trump and these MAGAs have. Real power can be exercised with dignity and quietly. That's what it should be. But right now in a social media age, that just doesn't exist anymore. But rather than uplift, Biden doing the things that he said he was going to do and getting infrastructure, getting all of these things, it was just been attack him, give him no support, always. It's because they never really wanted him to be the president in the first place, even though he's the guy who whooped Trump's ass. Anyway, let's take our first quick break of the show. I want to remind everybody about patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. If you want to meet me, Brett, and Jordy, we're doing these weekly meetings now, and I'd love to see you there. Let's take our first quick break of the show.
One of the single biggest predictors of how long you'll live and how good you feel while living is your metabolic health. Now, I strongly believe that you can't manage what you don't measure, and metabolic health can be difficult to measure. This is why I use levels to track my daily health metrics and habits and ultimately optimize my metabolic health. Levels helps me understand how my food and lifestyle decisions are impacting my health. In the short term, I use levels to optimize my energy levels during the day and manage my weight. In the long term, I'm thinking about the many chronic diseases that are directly linked to metabolic health, including diabetes, heart disease, and Alzheimer's. I use levels with a continuous glucose monitor to get my own personalized data, which I found to be really powerful to understand my own unique physiology. But you can also now use levels without a continuous glucose monitor. I never realized how much pasta could really spike my glucose until I started using levels. Levels has completely changed how and what I consume each day. The health and energy improvements I've seen since starting this journey has been a complete game changer. Levels has recently launched some exciting new features to help track your macros, protein, fiber, fat, carbohydrates, and sugar, and create daily habits around your health goals. They also provide insights based on trends in your health metrics to help guide you to make the best decisions that will have a positive impact on your health. Metabolic health is about glucose and much more, and Levels now helps you keep track of it all. Now is a great time to get started if you've been waiting for the right time to join Levels to improve your metabolic health. Right now, Levels is offering my listeners an additional 2 free months of the Levels annual membership when you use my link, levels.link/Meidas. I don't know how long this offer is going to last, so if you've been interested in learning more about your metabolic health, now is the time to get started. Levels.link/Meidas.
What does the future hold for business? Ask 9 experts and you'll get 10 answers. Bull market, bear market. Will rates rise or fall? Will inflation go up or down? Can someone please invent a crystal ball? Until then, over 40,000 businesses have future-proofed their business with NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud ERP, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, HR into one fluid platform. With one unified business management suite, there's one source of truth giving you the visibility and control you need to make quick decisions. With real-time insights and forecasting, you're peering into the future with actionable data. When you're closing the books in days, not weeks, you're spending less time looking backwards and more time looking on what's next. I use this and you should too. Whether your company is earning millions or even hundreds of millions, NetSuite helps you respond to immediate challenges and seize your biggest opportunities. Speaking of opportunities, download the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/Meidas. This guide is free to you at netsuite.com/Meidas. netsuite.com/MEIDAS.
Shout out to our pro-democracy sponsors. I've been hearing some great things about Levels. Like I said last week, they're new to the network. We're big fans of theirs. They do some amazing stuff. Check them out. They told me that their link traffic, that everyone who clicked the link, it was off the charts last week when we did it in the episode. So check it out. Go one step further. Do the subscription thing. It's awesome. It's really fabulous. Benji, where to next?
I want to remind everybody that when Hunter Biden was on the board of Burisma, it was in between the period where President Biden was the vice president and when he was the president. It was even before President Biden decided to run for president. It was right after Hunter's brother died. Remember, Hunter's biological mom and sister died growing up in a tragic car accident. He was by his brother Beau's side, who tragically died of cancer after being exposed to toxic burn pits. And Hunter needed work. The reason why he ended up working at Burisma, and people don't know the story, but it's worth knowing, is that he was actually recruited by the pro-democracy president of Poland to be on the board as a check against Russia by trying to turn Burisma more towards the pro-democracy world, more towards EU, to try to have a friendly voice on the board. That's why Hunter Biden took that job. And for those who are like, oh, it's nepotism, Hunter Biden sat on the Amtrak board and the United Nations Food Program. And you know who appointed him to that position? After he graduated from Yale Law School and after he was a partner at a major top law firm in the United States, George W. Bush appointed Hunter Biden to those boards. So this was someone with board experience, and he took the job because it was a pro-democracy board seat to try to be a counterbalance to Russia's influence over Burisma. So that's the time period that it ended up taking place in. Again, Biden was not in power. On the other hand, Kushner was off making deals in the Middle East with the Saudis for his own fund while Donald Trump was in power. You had Kushner and Ivanka making $600-700 million before getting $2.5 or $3 billion to Kushner's fund when Kushner was never a fund manager before. This is all taking place when Trump's in power. So it's quite literally using the auspices of the power to do this. And it's right in front of our eyes. But for MAGA Republicans, it was always a way to avoid those discussions by go after Hunter. And what they go after Hunter for? Naked photos where you had Marjorie Taylor Greene holding up photos of Hunter's penis, like actual penis, in hearings, and you'd have to your family be watching C-SPAN and you'd see a penis. It's like, what are we even doing here? And they would mock him for the drug use as though drugs are not a major issue in the United States of America. The same time Donald Trump's attacking Mexico and Canada for a fentanyl addiction in the United States, where 99% of consumption of fentanyl is actually by Americans in the United States. And most people who bring fentanyl into the United States for that consumption are Americans, or it comes from Asia. But Trump's attacking Mexico for that. You know, when you're attacking that and saying we need to do ads about drug addiction and this and that, drug addiction's a serious thing. And when you mock drug addiction, for people who are addicts, it is very triggering to them to have to see that. And that's what the MAGA Republicans were doing over and over again, as though they know nobody or they've never had a situation in their life. And it always pissed me off too, because there was always a conversation that we as human beings, forget being Democrats or Republicans or independents, but as human beings, we could have and should have defended Hunter the way we would have defended a family member suffering from addiction. Because that attack on Hunter's an attack on people in your family who you've lost to addiction, who struggle with addiction now, or who are in recovery. And why couldn't we ever just talk about it like normal freaking human beings? That's and again, it's just not defending things that should be defended and then attacking things that really shouldn't be attacked. It's so skewed. And again, it's, I guess, why we started this network and why people are watching this and gravitate toward the MeidasTouch network, because I think they're like, yeah, duh, I don't care what political party I am. You're just speaking the truth. You're just speaking common sense, right? I mean, look, this is Jared Kushner at a recent event that he spoke at, where he's asked about the fact that the Saudis gave him over $2 billion for his fund. Now, as a fund manager, the way you usually get paid on this is a 2-20 system. You get 2% of the overall fund every year gets paid to you as salary, and then you get 20% of profit. So if Jared Kushner did nothing but just collect the money, he'd get 2% of the fund every year. And when you add up all of the money from the Saudis, UAE, the Qataris, and other, it's like a $4 billion fund, right? So it's like 20, 30, 40 million dollars every year for just keeping the money in the bank account, even if he doesn't invest the money. And he was the Middle East like envoy for Donald Trump. And one more thing, in addition to naming Jared Kushner's dad as the ambassador to France, Donald Trump named Tiffany Trump's father-in-law as the envoy or special advisor to the Middle East. And he's a guy who does business affairs in the Middle East. I mean, this is all happening before our eyes, and I see all these, Hunter Biden. Just watch Jared Kushner get asked here about the Saudis, and he's like, are we really even talking about this? We're really going there. Here, play this clip.
As you said, lots and lots of private equity firms, other folks are trying to raise money from Saudi Arabia and are raising money from Saudi Arabia. Some, however, stopped after the Jamal Khashoggi murder. Some either gave money back or stopped. At the time, you said you wanted to wait for the DNI report, for the kind of official report, for the State Department report, before talking about it. You kind of only give very glancing mentions in your book to it. The DNI report came out a couple weeks after you left the White House. It says that MBS personally was responsible. Do you agree with the DNI? Do you believe that report?
Are we really still doing this, Dan? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
So let's go to this.
Okay, and let me show you. Are we really doing this? Hunter Biden, we're talking about a $4,000 like car payment that was made by Joe Biden in 2017 or 2018 to Hunter, but I got $4 billion with a B and helped potentially cover up the murder of an American journalist from the Washington Post who refuses to do any endorsements now, apparently, Jeff Bezos. But are we really going there? And then you have Don Jr., who's out there constantly attacking Hunter, right? Don Jr., who did the little sniff when he was watching the Elon Musk event. I don't know what the sniff was, but he did a sniff is all I'm going to say. And
it was more of a gum. It was a gummy.
Oh, was it a gummy, not a sniff?
It was a gummy. Yeah.
I don't know what that, maybe he's getting something from his teeth. I
don't know what that is.
Here he is sitting either first class or on a private jet talking about the deals that he's making with Middle East countries that his dad was involved in policy over. Here, play this clip.
Guys, I just did a day trip to Dubai and Oman. We have a project in Oman, projects in Dubai, just checking in on them, the day job. Literally, I'm on the ground for 18 hours, and I think I did 30-something hours of flying. But if you're going to fly that much, this is a great way to do it. I'm in first class on Emirates, and this is sick. These beds lie down, go fully flat, the doors closed. You're in your entire enclosed cubbies. Pretty spectacular. Great food. More legroom than I can know what to do with. And like I said,
guys, I'm so rich. I'm on a plane, guys. Look how rich I am. This is pretty sick, guys. I'm so much wealthier than you, and I want you. I'm gonna screw you over, but you're gonna vote for my daddy anyway. Even though I'm so much richer, and I'm mocking you right now.
I mean, what is that? I mean, seriously, what are we watching? And then you want to see how they normalize it? Here's the headline from the Wall Street Journal, which was acquired by Rupert Murdoch, about all of the deals that Trump's doing right now. So we make fun of all of the Trump scams, the Trump guitars, which he's getting cease and desist letters from Gibson for stealing allegedly their intellectual property, and the Trump NFTs and the $100,000 Trump watches and the Trump Bitcoin, Liberty Financial or whatever they're going to call it. But these are all entry points for people who want to buy influence. Something that sounds a lot like, I don't know, what's the word that starts with a B and ends with a Y? Is it bribery? Does it sound like that? But this is how they describe it in the Wall Street Journal. Corporate America launches an unorthodox campaign. It's unorthodox, everybody.
Unorthodox.
To gain Trump's attention. Companies look at scrubbing their left-leaning policies from their website and scoping out appearances on conservative podcasts. Corporate America, this is what the article says, is unleashing an unorthodox campaign to influence Donald Trump's agenda in the weeks leading up to his second inauguration, a period that is emerging as a key stretch for shaping the next administration. It's called the transition. When would a transition not be the key stretch? To break into the unusual circle of influence that surrounds Trump. What's the unusual circle of influence? Trump and his kids and trying to get money for the Trump family. Chief executives are discussing things. One way is going on Rogan's podcast. They are buying the Trump family cryptocurrency token and emailing tips about spending cuts to Vivek Ramaswamy. They say it so unironically. They're just buying up his cryptocurrency and then sending tips to something that's going to slash the budget and potentially give exemptions to maybe, I don't know, those people who buy the cryptocurrency. It says it in the next paragraph. Those who can garner sway with Trump or his team could ask for exemptions to the forthcoming tariffs and influence staffing. Then it goes on to talk about this guy named, what's this guy's name? Justin Sun. So Justin Sun is this crypto guy who spent $6 million on a banana. And then Bloomberg did another article on this guy. Trump's crypto project was a bust until Justin Sun stepped in. And they call him like a flamboyant crypto guy who spent $6 million eating bananas. He's paid $6 million for banana art. He's someone who's facing
was that the one with the banana on the like the banana that was taped to the wall? He's the guy who bought the duct tape banana.
He bought the duct tape banana.
Very unorthodox. That's all it's going. Just unorthodox.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's very unorthodox. He's unorthodoxly facing an SEC, a Securities and Exchange Commission lawsuit right now. And they allege that he engaged in a bunch of improper trading and unusual behavior. He strongly denies those allegations and says that it's BS, but nonetheless, he is under an investigation by them. But he comes in after sales of the Trump crypto called World Liberty Financial are falling 93% short of the goal. They failed to even hit the minimum required to trigger a payout to Trump. But then in comes Justin Sun, a flashy, I like the way they call him, a flashy China-born crypto founder. Flashy, it's a goofy way to describe a human being. And then he gives Trump $30 million to the crypto, which means there's basically $15 million goes directly into Trump's hands under that transaction of someone who's under SEC investigation. And again, this guy denies it. But the broader point is you're getting mad at President Biden for pardoning Hunter. That's where you're directing your anger at right now. Do we all see what's going on here? Do you see that America's quite literally for sale and that these oligarchs are? Is it so obvious? It's just so obvious.
It's so obvious, and they love to glamorize people like this as well. They love to glamorize con men. They love to glamorize, oh, look at this wacky, eccentric, flamboyant billionaire who purchased this banana duct taped to the wall for $6.2 million, and then he ate it. And then, oh, look at the bad boy of finance with his SEC violations and this and that. It's like, all right, like, why are we glossing? Why are we rehabbing all of these things like that? And then you realize quite quickly that all of these entities out here who are behind much of these stories and narratives are the same entities that stand to benefit from a Trump presidency, from tax cuts, from exemptions to tariffs, from special treatment in other regards. And so there you have a crypto bribery scheme that is positioned as a legitimate form of governance, a legitimate form of, this is just what people do in their transition process. They have cryptocurrencies. They're going to fail on their own. But then guess what? This eccentric billionaires come in and they pump all their money in, and then they save it. And then people start making demands. And that's just business, baby. That's just business, baby. That's just what's happening here. And you just like, and I know we always go back to this, but you just think, if President Biden did 1/1000th of this, if he had a cryptocurrency, even to begin with, if he had the Biden crypto, if he had the Joe crypto, the Joe Doge, I don't know what you want to call it.
Joe,
that alone,
Joe crypto,
that alone would send the media into a tailspin. And then add on to that these rich billionaire shady figures, I'll say, pumping in tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars into these things as they are failing. And then watching all these corporations around them sending special requests to the people after doing other favors for the individual. You'd say this sounds like one entire criminal operation. That's what this sounds like, right? This is what we're seeing. No, but they don't, because they know that they want to get in on the same schemes. The Wall Street Journal, the Murdochs of the world, the Comcasts of the world, they all want a piece of this, which is why you are seeing this behavior that just makes you go like, what the heck is going on right now? Even just the very notion of these companies, and this is probably like the lightest thing that Wall Street Journal article talked about, but they mentioned how a lot of these companies are changing their policies to appease Trump. So they're like, you see Walmart, for example, I believe they're getting rid of like their diversity programs. That's something Walmart's doing, to be like, hey, Trump, look, we're with you. No more DEI at Walmart. Not here. You see a lot of other companies doing things like that as well. It just shows that they're just cowards, that they don't believe in anything that they pretend to believe in. It's just all fake. It's all about their bottom line. They actually don't stand for anything whatsoever. And if the country goes entirely full 100% fascist, they'd be on board with it 110%, as long as they could get a piece of that fascist pie. I mean, it's so obvious to me.
Y'all got no interest in grabbing some Biden coin? No Biden coin takers over here. The Wall Street Journal article, in all seriousness, when you look at that, it just shows you why at a core level, you just can't trust any sort of corporate media. You just can't. Because when you could see how things could be rehabbed, Brett, I like that word that you used, in such a way and framed in such a way that feels nuanced, using words like unorthodox or flamboyant, this, or, trying to really make these folks characters in this world. This isn't a game. This isn't a novel. This isn't a movie. We don't need characters, and we don't need us. We just want the facts and the data. And by what y'all are doing, corporate media, bending over backwards, getting rid of your own corporate policies to appease the man coming into office, it's weird and it's deeply dangerous, and you're exposing your hand unlike you ever done before in this world.
And here's what we need right now more than
y'all tuning in here day in and day out, because we don't have any corporate stakeholders here. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube, subscribe to the audio, wherever you get your audio, just hit it right now, because we bring it for y'all. And that's why you guys come here, for the data and for the facts. And that's what we're doing.
Here's what we need now more than ever. We need fighters, right? We need people who are going to stand up to this. And I'm looking around, not seeing any. I got to say, I'm really not, maybe a handful. I like Jasmine Crockett over the weekend or last night after the news came out about the Hunter Biden, that she, from her plane seat, spoke out and said, "You go, Joe. Enough of the pearl clutching BS. This is how it's done." I appreciate that from Representative.
By the way, what I love so much about that, Brett, it was instantly, right? She did it from this. She controlled her side of the narrative immediately and didn't let anyone. It was exactly what we had talked about on the show last week about how you have to come out strong.
People want fighters.
Quickly. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. People want fighters. People don't want people who just cower over and go, "Oh, I guess Trump. I guess they just gave permission for Trump to do whatever he wants now. I guess maybe he'll actually pardon the Sixers now." He's going to do that. His first days in office, if not his first day, he's going to pardon himself. He's going to pardon the January Sixers. That's what's going to happen, and that is actual corruption. I could give a damn, by the way, if Trump were to go and pardon Don Jr. I really don't care. I think any father would pardon their son or daughter if they were going to be put in jail. Okay, that's what I believe. But Trump is going to do some of the most heinous things with his pardon. And, the same people are going to be like, well, President Biden gave him permission to pardon the people who attacked the Capitol and beat police officers. Hell no, he did not. Donald Trump was going to do that regardless. It's time that we have people with a spine. And the good thing, Jordy, to your point, is that we have the facts on our side. We have the data on our side. We have the truth on our side. So we don't need people out there making things up, making our own conspiracy theories. That's not what we need here. We don't need people doing anything else other than telling the truth and telling it unapologetically. And we have the upper hand in that. And I think that is what is so maddening to me, that people are just unwilling to go ahead and state that unequivocally and not just bow down to this Trump regime that is coming into place. You see this idea from Timothy Snyder of obeying in advance. You see in real time a bunch of politicians, a bunch of people in the media, a bunch of corporate interests all obeying in advance. And it is absolutely maddening to me.
No, the term, Jordy, when you talk about the Wall Street Journal rehabbing all these policies, there was a term for it in the post-Nazi world to describe what was taking place then. It was called the banality of evil, normalizing it through the kind of language of the day. I do want to be very clear about our language, though. The lawsuit by the United States Securities and Exchange Commission against this individual, Justin Sun, is alleging, they sued him in 2023, alleging he defrauded investors by manipulating the price of a Tron cryptocurrency with fake trades. And I want to be very clear that he denies all of the allegations against him, and everybody, even including him, should be entitled to a presumption of innocence. I do want to simply point out the appearances there, though, that you can certainly judge for yourself, and should there be a greater focus there. Let's take our last quick break of the show. And a reminder, patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. We'll be right back. So when we started the MeidasTouch Network, an online store was the furthest thing from my mind. Now we're able to bring you the best pro-democracy merchandise, and it's so easy. And it's all because I use Shopify. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business, from the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit a million order stage? Shopify is there to help you grow the same way it helped us grow at the MeidasTouch Network. Whether you're selling scented soap, sounds good, or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. From their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system,
wherever and whatever you're selling. Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to the other leading commerce platforms, and sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. We use Shopify at store.meidastouch.com, and I know you know how seamless that is, and it's completely revolutionized everything we do. It allows us to easily manage our shop, view analytics, provide the best customer service, and streamline our entire online shopping experience from A to Z. We wouldn't be able to bring you all the products you know and love without Shopify, and we can't speak highly enough about Shopify. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., and Shopify's the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklyn, and millions of other entrepreneurs like MeidasTouch of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way, because businesses that grow with Shopify. So sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Meidas, all lowercase. Go to Shopify, Shopify. So go to shopify.com/Meidas now to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/Meidas.
Let's face it, after a night with drinks, I don't bounce back the next day like I used to. Hey, I got to be honest with myself, right? It feels like I have to choose between having a great night or a great next day. That is until I found pre-alcohol. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's the blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Every time I have pre-alcohol before drinks, I notice a difference the next day. For example, after a fun night out with friends at like a local bar or wherever we go, I could still get up the next morning and hit the gym. And I'll admit, I was skeptical at first, but I tried it at a dinner party with some friends. And the next morning, I felt great, ready to tackle the day, ready to do more videos here at the MeidasTouch Network. I kept hearing about pre-alcohol and wondered what it was actually like. Now that I've tried it, I get the hype. Plus, with their GMO technology, ZBiotics is continuing to create probiotics that tackle the challenges of modern living. Go to zbiotics.com/Meidas to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use code Meidas at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you are unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/Meidas and use that code Meidas. It's MEIDAS at checkout for 15% off.
Shout out to our pro-democracy sponsors. Links in description of YouTube and audio. Use the links. Use the codes. They got great deals right now. Check it out. Some awesome stuff.
MeidasTouch wants to hear from you about your views about the pardon of Hunter Biden. In the description below, we have a poll. We've been getting tens of thousands of responses, actually 7,000, but I anticipate by the time the poll's done, we're going to keep it up for a few days. There'll be tens of thousands, but we've got about 8,000 responses thus far. Add your name, take the poll in the podcast description below. Tell us your view. Should President Biden have pardoned Hunter? Yes, no, you don't know. Take the poll right now, or take the poll as soon as the show ends, but make sure you take the poll. One thing I do want to point out, though, too, is that in Donald Trump's email about the pardon of Hunter Biden, it says, breaking news, Joe Biden just pardoned Hunter. And then it says, read emergency response. And then when you read Trump's emergency response, guess what gets pulled up? It says, do you stand with Trump against Biden's family corruption? And he's asking for $1,000, $250, and $100 even after the campaign. He's still asking for money when the campaign is over. So just to be clear, that's what he's doing. And I'm sure all those people who are going to send over $1,000 over there are the same people who are going to say the economy's just been so bad. They probably have given Donald Trump like half their income at this point between all of the little things that he's been selling that I talked about earlier in the show. New updates about Donald Trump's Secretary of Defense pick. Peter Hegseth. We learned on Friday, New York Times got their hands on a letter sent in 2018 by his mommy. His mom is named Penelope Hegseth. She is a well-known life coach in the life coach community. And she sent him an email and also sent it to his ex-wife, then wife at the time, where she called her own son an abuser of women and said, you need to seriously get help. You are an abuser of women. Here he is, a new article about him today as well. This is from the Daily Beast. Also, the New Yorker was the one who broke the story. Pete Hegseth faces new booze, strippers, debt, and NDA claims at veterans group he ran. It goes on to talk about allegations of a very sordid, drunken history of mismanaging veterans organizations that left the staff disgusted by his allegedly lecherous behavior, according to a report. The New Yorker obtained records from two, not one, but two nonprofit advocacy groups Hegseth led, Veterans for Freedom and Concerned Veterans for America, that describe financial mismanagement, inappropriate sexual advances, and at one point, Hegseth drunkenly yelling, "Kill all Muslims" at a bar while on an official tour in Ohio. Both groups eventually forced Hegseth to step down, the magazine reported. A lawyer for Hegseth dismissed the allegations as outlandish claims and attributed them to a petty and jealous, disgruntled former associate, right? It's always everybody else's fault with them. Hegseth's potential nomination was already facing questions about a woman who alleged he sexually assaulted her in a hotel room after an event. It was actually a Republican event in 2020. He denies her claims as well. A whistleblower report about Hegseth's time leading Concerned Veterans for America from 2013 to 2016, the New Yorker wrote, said he repeatedly was drunk while on the clock, sometimes needing to be carried out of official events. It further alleges that Hegseth, who was married to his second wife at the time, and other members of the group's management team sexually pursued their female employees, informally dividing them into two camps they described as party girls and not party girls. The whistleblower report claims that while Hegseth was its leader, the organization ignored staff concerns about the workplace, including an allegation by an employee that another staffer tried to sexually assault her at a Louisiana strip club. She was paid a settlement and signed an NDA, but the report says she experienced reprisals in the workplace thereafter, encouraging a toxic work environment. And then it says that Hegseth was at this event working for Concerned Veterans in Ohio in 2015 in Cuyahoga on an official visit with an organization. And then he allegedly chanted, "Kill all Muslims, kill all Muslims." And then one of the people told New Yorker, "I've seen him drunk so many times. I've seen him dragged away, not a few times, but multiple times. To have him at the Pentagon would be scary." And so I think it's also important to reflect on the fact that while these people that Trump appointed, whether it's Matt Gaetz, who was accused of child sex trafficking, and I guess what we're supposed to forget about that report also, like just because he's resigned, now we're supposed to be like, all right, the child sex trafficking report that all the Republicans were covering up for Matt Gaetz, let's just move on and attack President Biden, everybody. I mean, what are we talking about here? You have all of the Republicans who, for all these years, who have been spreading lies about child sex trafficking while themselves covering up child sex trafficking and like being pro-child sex trafficking, right? I mean, that's what they were. But that's the thing about Democrat messaging. It's like, where, Brett, to your point, where are people talking about this? The MAGA Republicans are the pro-child sex trafficking party. They prove that. We just move on. We move on. The MAGA Republicans have been talking about Hunter Biden doing cocaine in 2018 for the past 5 years. They haven't given up. Hunter, where's Hunter? Where's Hunter? Hunter. Over and over again. 2 weeks ago, we're talking about child sex trafficking, and what? Do we Men in Black ourselves with the wand, that they did in people's memories just when it comes to like MAGA stuff? Oops, we can't talk about that anymore. We're now on to the just freaking focus. who's talking, and now Hegseth, last week we were talking about rape allegations of an unconscious woman, which he denies. Now we're talking about this. No, we can't talk about Tulsi Gabbard. We can't focus on the fact that she ran to Syria and gave Assad permission to dump chemical weapons against his own people. Like we're too much. RFK Jr. literally saying that vaccines should be banned, that water turns kids gay. Like, can we not focus on these things? And look, I'm going to use our platform here at the MeidasTouch Network to talk about these things every single day. But like, where is everybody? Like, it feels lonely, and I'm blessed that we have the Meidas Mighty and Brett and Jordy, but like, where are people saying these? Are they scared? Is it lazy? Is it just they're afraid to offend people? Like, it seems pretty easy to call out the Republican Party for being pro-child sex trafficking when they covered the report. If I was a member of Congress, and I don't want to be a member of Congress. I want to do this. Okay.
You don't want to be Marjorie Taylor Greene's coworker?
I don't want to be Marjorie Taylor Greene's coworker. I don't want to run for office. I appreciate people. I do not want to do that. I want to build this media network with all of you. That's what I want to do. That's my life's work. That's what I'm focused on. That's it. I've decided. Done. I'm not running for anything. But I mean, look, you see the people in Tbilisi, in Georgia, rising up, standing up, marching on the streets against a pro-Putin backed party that dystopian calls themselves the Dream Party. That's the pro-Putin party. They call themselves Georgia's Dream. Sounds a little bit like Make America Great Again, right? We're the Dream Party of Georgia. Look, we have to grow a spine for real. And I hope if this episode's focused on anything, it's grow a freaking spine and start to fight and roll up your sleeve and speak the truth. We're not going into conspiracy theory land. We're focusing on what we should fight, what we can focus on, and it is critical. So just step up and be a human being. Forget even apologize. Just be a freaking human being and react to things the way human beings should react. That's my spiel, Brett.
I know. I mean, exactly right. I would say this. I think that too often Democrats let the data lead them rather than having themselves lead the data. And if I could kind of go back to an historical comparison, there's a famous Henry Ford quote where he said that I'm paraphrasing, but if he had asked people what they wanted, they would have said they wanted faster horses. Cars wouldn't be a thing because the people would have said, we want faster horses. We need faster horses. So all these people would have been like, okay, how do we make faster horses? Never would have even thought about the idea of creating an automobile. And I think that's how the Democrats are with a lot of this data. They try to follow people rather than actually try to lead people. So they see Donald Trump win and they go, I guess we need to be more like that. I guess our policies need to be more like that. I guess we need to start sucking up to Elon Musk now because people seem to like him. I guess we should stop supporting this community or that community because I guess people don't like him. I guess we should stop fighting for immigrants because I guess that wasn't a popular thing. But to me, that's the wrong takeaway. You need to lead on these issues. You need to put forth a plan. You need to put forth ideas and you need to fight for them every single day. You can't be chasing the faster horses. You need to create your own automobile. And I'll say it's not always the easiest thing on the planet, right? To come up with fresh new ideas and to fight for them. But that's what you need to do as a leader. And if you're not up for it, then just get out. I don't need you in Congress. I don't need you running for president. I don't need you leading corporate. I don't need you in those positions. We need innovators. We need thinkers. We need people who are not going to be afraid to stand up for these principles. And we need people who aren't going to buckle anytime shit hits the fan, even in the most minor ways. We need people who aren't going to go, oh, you shouldn't have done that. Oh, Joe, the moral, Joe, but aren't we just as bad as them? No. These people are threatening to sick the Justice Department on people for no reason other than vengeance and retribution. These are some sick folks that we are dealing with who are taking power. And we need to realize what we are up against, and we need to be fighting. All of you out there, people need to be fighting right now for the soul of our country. What does it actually mean to be an American in 2024? What does it mean to actually stand up for democracy? Are you going to stand up for democracy, or are you going to fold, and are you going to try to make nice with these autocrats and would-be autocrats who are taking over our government? That's the choice for you all to make out there. I'm not speaking to our audience. I'm speaking to the politicians out there, a lot of these Democrats out there who I'm not seeing with a spine, a lot of these political pundits who are going on MSNBC and CNN and are spouting off with their hot takes, finding every single moment to try to just to make everyone fight each other and to try to just bash Biden every opportunity they get. I mean, what are we doing here? Let's show some leadership. Let's get some ideas. Let's fight for those ideas. Let's do it in a way that is unapologetic. That's how you win. That's how you win. You put forth ideas and you fight for them, because people could sense BS. People could sense when you don't really believe it. People could sense your weakness. And that's what I'm sensing right now from a lot of people in this party and a lot of these pundits out there. I'm sensing weakness. I'm sensing complete and total lack of a spine. And it's time to get your spine back. And if you can't, then step aside for the people who can, because it is now more important than ever that we actually have people who stand for something out there in this country.
Our editor-in-chief, Ron Filipkowski, did a great article detailing all of the things that Kash Patel had threatened Hunter with. And I think you should all read it. It's at MeidasPlus.com. Just make sure you spell it correctly. MEIDASPLUS.com, MeidasPlus.com. Check it out. Want to remind everybody as well, if you can, join patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. That helps grow this independent media platform, and it's where we host what we've now been doing as weekly meetings. I'd like to try to do a weekly meeting on Friday if we can. This Friday, we've been doing it at different times, one in the evening, one in the morning, to try to do it for people with different schedules. Maybe Friday, maybe Thursday. The brothers will huddle up. We will post it, but I want to see you all this week. Patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Even if we do it for 30 minutes, last time was like 45 minutes. The time before that was over an hour. We go as long as we can go, but it's so great seeing each other's faces. Patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Check that out. And then we've got the poll. Take the poll. The poll's free. We want to know your view, Meidas Mighty. Do you believe President Biden was? And don't let our podcast influence your opinion. Okay, give us your honest opinion.
Yeah, this is make it separate from us. I know we put our finger on the scale this episode, but this is our personal opinion, and honestly, have your own opinion. But we like transparency. We like being clear with what we believe on this show, which is a show that intersperses both news reporting and our personal analysis of the issues. We also do straight news reporting. Ben's report on this pardon yesterday was purely straight news reporting. And Anthony Davis on our channel does a lot of straight news reporting. And there's a place for that. This podcast is a lot of our opinions on this podcast. But I want to hear your opinion in this private poll. You could go, it's in the description and the link here. I'm curious to hear what you think. And you know what? Next episode, Ben, Jordy, we'll report back with the poll results. We'll get the poll results. We'll have them in. We'll let you know how many responses we got. We'll let you know the opinions of the MeidasTouch community, and we'll see if they line up with yours. But I think it's a cool new experiment, to kind of get the opinions and get this data straight from you, the MeidasTouch community.
I love it. I love it. Shout out to the Meidas Mighty. Hey, Meidas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.